Welcome to another exciting edition of American Warrior Radio, the place to be for news, notes, interviews, and current events for all issues military and veteran related. If you or someone you know has ever worn the uniform of the U.S. Navy, Army, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, or National Guard or Reserves, you've come to the right place. American Warrior Radio, right here on the Talk to Me station, AM 1300 WMEL. And folks, we are worldwide at 1300WMEL.com. So please tell all your friends. As a matter of fact, grab the phone right now when we get through with this intro and call everybody you know, even if they're out of state, out of country, and tell them to dial us up online live. And we also archive the episodes, 1300 WMEL. And as always, this program is sponsored by AVET Project. Folks, this program is all about supporting our troops and their families, both past and present. So please, get comfortable, grab a nice beverage, and don't forget your pen and paper, because we're always efforting to bring you important information that you can use and share with others. With all that said, let's roll down the runway and get this show off the ground. My name is Garen Cohn. You know me, I'm an Air Force vet, a retired legal advocate for veterans, and founder of AVET Project, but you also know that I never fly through the airwaves alone.
Good morning, I'm Glenn McGuffey, retired manager of the Brevard County Veteran Services Team, where it was my honor to serve our veterans and eligible family members for 22 plus years and make it happen to get their claims approved when it was deserved. And also I'm retired from the Air Force, so we're going to have a couple Air Force guys, and we have a very special guest today.
Yes, we do.
And not Air Force, but we won't hold that against him because he's a well-qualified person from one of the other branches. We'll let him pass some of that information along to you. But first, Garen has some news for you.
We always want to bring you the latest in what's going on out there. Folks, the time is coming close where our senators are going to consider the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. It's a yearly thing where they get together and they say, do we want this included for our military? Do we want to exclude this? Yada, yada. There is something within the NDAA that was passed in bipartisan fashion out of the House, thanks to AVET Project. We've been working on this for 4 years now. We got it passed through the House, and again in bipartisan fashion last year through Congressman Posey, and we've done it again this year. It is none other than the Deployed Troops Support Act of 2014. Glenn, what's that mean?
Well, it replaces, hopefully, what was the old Denton Act from back in the 80s, I believe. And the Denton Act basically lets if there's space available on a military aircraft going overseas, particularly into the combat area in Afghanistan, and there are other places that are maybe not so well known in the news as combat areas, but there's conflict going on. This act would allow not-for-profits like AVET and others who support the troops by sending packages to them with information, with vital goodies that help increase
Whether
their
it's
morale.
a refrigerator, more, whatever the troops need and are asking for.
And it will let them now go on Space A for military aircraft that are going there anyway and have the space available. Right now, you can support the local indigenous population, but you can't support our troops through military Space A. So I urge everybody to get a hold of their senators, Bill Nelson and Marco Rubio, and tell them, we want your support. This has been messing around for 4 years now, and it's something to support our troops.
The way that the law was written back in the Kennedy administration simply said that through USAID, a joint State Department DoD program under the Denton program, like Glenn said, if you're a church group or some other nonprofit and you want to support the local Afghans or the folks over in West Africa, wherever they might be around the planet, if there's a taxpayer-funded military transport that has space available, boom, get it to us under the Denton program and we'll ship it over there for free, except you can't do this for our troops. Well, this changes all that. This adds in what is long overdue, and that is that you can use this for any of our deployed troops, whether they're in Korea, Japan, wherever they might be. If there's an airplane going there, then they're going to get goods from nonprofits. And one of the biggest catches there is that just like AVET Project, and our producer Kim made me aware of this as we shipped out some more of our EEBs, our enhanced care packages, the other day, Glenn, they've raised the rate again, the post office.
It's up to like $17 and something?
Is it right?
$17.90.
$17.90. We're talking $18. When AVET Project was formed and started doing this 5 years ago, it was $11 and something. So come on, folks. It's one of our biggest expenses. It's taxpayer-funded military transports that have space available. Don't you want to support your troops? I mean, it's great to help out the South Africans or wherever. That's fine and good. But our troops deserve this, so you've got to take action. Nothing happens if you don't make some noise. Get a hold of them. Google them. Nelson Rubio. If you're in Wyoming listening to American Warrior Radio, and we know we have listeners out there, could we hear from you, or Oregon, wherever you might be, just Google your senators, your United States senators, and tell them to support the Deployed Troops Support Act, because it cannot get pulled from the NDAA again this year. It has to go through. All right, with that said, come on, you all know Battle of the Branches through the kindness and generosity of the ownership here at WMEL. You've been hearing the messages about Battle of the Branches. Come on out on November 1st. This is going to be a lot of fun. We've got military, police, and fire teams competing, and corporate teams. Hopefully we'll have a lot more. We've got a 5K in the morning at 0800. We've got food, we've got food trucks, we've got resources, merchandise, entertainment. There's a huge kids zone. It's all free to spectators, so please come on out and join us. You can find out more by going to avetproject.org, avetproject.org. Also check out the Facebook icon for all those that are not Facebook savvy, and I'm probably in that group. You can scroll down the left corner of the homepage of AVET Project, click on the icon, and it'll shoot you right over there. You don't have to be a member or anything, and you can read all the cool stuff, see lots of cool pictures from everything AVET Project does. So, Battle of the Branches, you keep hearing about it, and you're going to keep hearing about it. It's November 1st. Oh, I want to get a shout out too, because AVET Project, in a big way, supported the 45th Civil Engineering Squadron. They have a haunted house coming up, 28th, 29th, 30th. It's in the same location. As a matter of fact, we allowed them to use our 20 by 40 canopy, and we got them some plywood and stuff to help them with their mission. Now listen, folks, AVET Project ain't making a dime out of that. This is what we do for our troops. They wanted to help another organization. We had the ability to help them. Bada bing, bada boom. They're out there. So check out their haunted house right there at Pelican Housing, just south of the base off Shearwater on the 28th, 29th, 30th. Take a day off, Halloween, and then come back on November 1st and join us for Battle of the Branches. Are you swatting at flies? My producer's like moving her hand around, getting going. Okay, so enough of that, and we'll get to more. There's a whole calendar posted about AVET Project events and how you can get involved and volunteer. You just have to make the effort. Just go to avetproject.org, click on the Facebook icon. We'll have some other stuff we can share here in a minute, but we've waited long enough. We have a very special guest in studio. You know, AVET Project is apolitical and non-religious, but you know, Glenn and I have talked about this before, the board of directors of AVET Project. We fully support those men and women that have served our country honorably and choose now, as maybe their careers have winded down or maybe they've joined the reserves and have time on their hands and they want to continue to serve our community through elected office. And we've had some guys and gals on before, and actually they've had some good success, Glenn.
Yeah, and I was glad to see that, because I and Garen and hopefully many others believe we need a lot more military experienced personnel in any of the elected jobs throughout the country.
Well, who we have in studio is extraordinarily qualified. I would like to welcome John Craig, Captain in the U.S. Navy Reserves and a flyer. Say hello to everybody, John.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks for having me here, and thank you for all you guys do
through American Warrior Radio, through AVET. It's amazing what y'all are doing in this community, so thank you.
Well, it is our pleasure, and we're really thankful that you were able to come in here because the election is how many days off now?
We are 9 days away now. 9 days away. November 4th is the general election, and we're looking forward to getting through this next week and taking our message out throughout District 2 here for the Brevard County Schools.
Okay, so you are running for a position as District 2 Brevard School Board.
That's correct. So I'm running for an open seat, the Brevard County School Board District 2, which encompasses most of the beaches north of Patrick Air Force Base, Cocoa Beach, Cape Canaveral, most of Merritt Island, and then parts of Cocoa and Rockledge.
Outstanding. That is a big area. And I know it's a lot of responsibility, and there's none better qualified. As I say that, would you share with our listeners a little bit about, where you were born and raised? Give us some biographical information.
Sure, I'd be happy to. I was born and raised in that great Navy town of Chicago, and when I left high school, was fortunate enough to get an appointment to the U.S. Naval Academy. So my parents put me on an airplane when I was 17 and sent me to Baltimore and gave me some directions on how to find the Naval Academy, and that was my introduction to the U.S. Navy. So
honestly, you graduate high school, boom, boom, you're there.
So that was exciting, and those 4 years in Annapolis were amazing. Really changed my life, obviously, quite a bit. I don't know if I knew what I was getting into when I started, but when I left, it was a great opportunity. And one of the things that I'd always wanted to do was fly. So I was fortunate enough to select, at that time, my vision was a little off, so I ended up becoming a naval flight officer. Went through Pensacola and got my wings there, and ended up flying F-14s as a radar intercept officer, the Tomcat, off the USS Ranger out in San Diego. Did a couple of combat cruises there, including Operation Desert Storm, and then the follow-on after the war as well. And then what was a really nice thing was because I was already an aviator, I was able to apply for a transition to the pilot program. So my vision was really just a little off. So now
you're talking about your eyesight.
My eyesight, right? So I could wear glasses now to be a pilot. So I went and I applied for that and was fortunate enough to get that appointment. So I went all the way back through flight school all over again. Started back at day 0. And
was it a little easier the second time around?
It was.
Different platform,
right?
It
was a little different, but certainly a lot of the the communications and the things that you had to learn, and certainly the military portion of it, I'd already done that, so that helped me quite a bit. So a couple more years in flight school, and then ended up flying F-18 Hornets for quite a few years after that. So was stationed out in Lemoore, California. Did a West Coast cruise there on the USS Carl Vinson. And then came over here to Jacksonville and flew F-18s out of Cecil Field until that closed, deployed on the USS Eisenhower, and then did some other deployments on the Abraham Lincoln and a few others as well. And then we ended up in Virginia Beach, where I was at the Naval Fighter Weapons School. It was a subsidiary of Top Gun, basically, is where I was an instructor. So did that for quite a few years.
You were an instructor?
Correct.
So okay, on the F-18.
In the Hornet. In the Hornet.
Yes. Okay.
Yep. So and then I met my wife, who was a Navy naval flight officer as well. She flew P-3s. Met her in Jacksonville. We got married, and so after 16 years, our son was born with some severe medical issues, and so I left active duty at that time. I've been serving in the reserves since. So been very fortunate and blessed with a great career in the Navy.
Well, and we appreciate it. Hats off to you. I mean, honestly, you're a stand-up guy, and that's a whole lot of history in a short period of time. Was there any specific assignment or any specific deployment? I mean, you mentioned PGW-1. Anything that sticks with you as a memorable time? I mean, they're probably all memorable. But
they're all memorable for their own things. I would say probably the cruise in the late 90s on the Eisenhower was when, a lot of people after the Gulf War I ended didn't realize that we were constantly fighting a war all through the 90s. Even though we came home, we were still flying and enforcing a no-fly zone. We were getting shot at every day. Once in a while, we drop a bomb here and there to make a point or in a response to something. And then in that enterprise or that cruise on the Eisenhower in 1997 or 8. Was when we kind of ramped it up again, and we went back after Saddam at the time, Operation Desert Fox, and a couple other of very pointed and longer duration exercises to try and kind of weaken his infrastructure. So it was interesting because I had kind of watched I'd been part of the entire 90s flying in the Gulf, and then to finally go back and kind of get back to where what we had started, we were now going to hopefully finish. So.
Well, knowing that you're running for school board, tell us a little bit about what ties you have to the Space Coast area, because I know you've moved around your whole career.
Sure. So we moved here 10 years ago. My wife and I knew we wanted to come back to Florida. A variety of reasons for that. Her company was Craig Technologies, was fledgling at the time. We had, I think, maybe 15, 20 employees at the time. And so Carol was very internet savvy, even back in 2000 when the internet was, just kind of burgeoning a little bit. I didn't know anything, but she did her homework.
Don't feel bad. I still don't know anything.
We knew we wanted to move somewhere where they had great schools, and so Carol did her homework, and we found Brevard County, and we are thrilled that we found Brevard County because it's a wonderful place to live, to raise our kids. Carol's company has been able to grow very well here, but we've also been able to really become engaged in the community, and that has been probably the greatest thing about living here in Brevard is being able to meet and people like yourself and work with organizations that are truly giving back to this great community. And so when the school's closure issue came up a couple of years ago, my kids were going to Gardendale Elementary over on Merritt Island, one of the schools that was closed. And
it was closed.
It was closed. So some parents got together, kind of a grassroots effort to try and maybe stop it, figure out if we could help out in some way, maybe use some of our business background to maybe help to find efficiencies, that type of thing. And we were kind of turned away and told thanks but no thanks. And so that was what kind of generated my interest to serve on the school board because, like I said, we moved here for the schools. I believe in great schools. My kids have had an extraordinary experience in Brevard County Schools because of the teachers and the administrators that really care. I want other kids to have that same option, and I want other families that are looking for a great place to move to think about Brevard first. And if I moved here for the schools, there are other people that will do it as well.
And you mentioned Craig Technologies and Carol Craig. Everybody knows Carol Craig. She's been on magazine covers just everywhere. Concerts in the park, whatever. You guys sponsor so many things, and I know you play a part in the corporation as well. We, AVET Project, and you guys have been great supporters of AVET Project from day one, and a lot of other groups, not just military or veteran related. And we've seen the company grow, which is phenomenal. And now the facility is over there in Cape Canaveral, or if I got that right, Cape Canaveral. What was the plant that it used to be? That
used to be the
ULA?
National Shuttle Logistics Depot, NSLD, which was United Space Alliance ran that, and now it's the ADMC, or Carol changed that to the Aviation Defense Manufacturing Center, or Aerospace Defense Manufacturing Center. And so we have that whole building, and she's really done some amazing things and been able to rehire a lot of those Space Shuttle employees as well, which has been really, really cool.
Exactly. Plus there's so